topic.
Very hot topic.
Mm-hmm. Yes, we're noticing a big push in the industry. A lot of talk.
We are.
A lot of a bit of speculation, but on the positive side, right? And forcing a lot of people to get involved in the conversation, and it's not forcing us. We want to get into this industry, we really, really do. And I think that the biggest thing that we're noticing is the race to be first, the race to be the first to deploy a vehicle, which is causing tremendous pressure on what we're seeing with our customers, right?
Yes.
So how can we potentially help that, or what are we seeing in terms of that race to be first?
Well, we do see a ton of pressure. We have these conversations where, initially when we can get these calls with customers, they're validating that, we might be able to help them. And once that has been established, there is a lot going on there. And there's a lot of pressure to be able to deliver in an age of really difficult supply chain issues. They're balancing so many different components and juggling them and trying to bring them all in with a lot of challenge. And there's been some great collaboration in terms of us trying to help ease some of that pressure.
We understand there's a investor push there, right? They're getting some obviously money from investors, people pre-ordering cars and trying to get there first and trying to get their cars out. But they're struggling with this race with limited teams, right? They're struggling to get there with that. So it's how do you feel that they've been trying to circumvent that?
Well, I would say, especially with the startups, a lot of the teams are limited. They're building and they're working really hard to juggle components. So they only have so many hours in the day. Fortunately, we've been able to bring more of our team members into calls to help out with collaboration and brainstorming, recommendations, introducing new partnerships. And I think there's some value there because they have limitations. I mean, we all have limitations. And as they're growing, that will alleviate somewhat. But for now, it's almost like we become a part of the team with them.
Going back to the supply chain, it's not only the supply chain for EV, it's been supply chain challenge for everybody, right? So we're assuming that they're also juggling, like JL was saying, like looking at many different components and most likely one or two components per vendor.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've noticed that a lot, the sole source on single items, which is okay, but it can also, there's some benefit to having a supplier that can offer multiple products and help you, and a supplier maybe that is focused on the EV sector and specializing in the materials that are going to be used in that sector. You can't cross over and use your traditional automotive parts per se in your EV vehicle because of lightweight and design that doesn't typically or always work the same way. So if you can find that strategic partner that has the right materials and understands the market, it's a real benefit to the manufacturers.
I'm going to throw a bit of a curveball here. We talk a lot about it, our specialty of being low to medium volume. EVs are starting up, so they're not really producing vehicles. So that interest level of partnering up with someone that can support them at the early stage is also something else that we're seeing a lot of.
Well, traditional automotive extruders are not set up to be able to support a low volume automaker. Their lines are set up very differently. So we have found a fit there where, we can start out at that prototype phase where you might be looking at 5 to 15 vehicles and then carry through and grow with you. It's a good fit in terms of, the difference between the two. They're well connected. They have these connections in the industry, but they may not be the right connections for this type of build.
I think they need that supplier that's nimble, can pivot, make the changes because all their designs aren't finalized as of yet. So where they are right now could change slightly in a couple of months. So, that fit from the supply side has to be a supplier that is is really nimble, able to, to pivot and make some changes on the fly for them, because some of the designs are still, not even finalized yet.
Hypothetical.
They're being validated
Absolutely.
Yeah.
in real time.
In real time,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
So imagine like they extrude, they put on that doesn't work, to all that ability to change on the fly.
Right.
We're all adding all that pressure we spoke about before. We're trying to race to be first, limited team. So it becomes a true challenge there.
Definitely.
What about assembly lines? What have you been hearing about that?
Well, what we've noticed so far along the way is that a typical assembly line is that you would see in an automotive factory is not what the typical EV setup. It's more of a micro factory where they're procuring all their components out of offsite, having it delivered, and then they're just doing the final assembly. So all these, the arranging for all these components to arrive in a timely manner are key. And obviously, if you can find suppliers where you can source multiple products from, that can maybe kit them and work with you on that just-in-time delivery, that really benefits the manufacturer.
Absolutely. Examples? We've had those examples as of late.
For the kitting and for
Just helping out to
just helping out, we've had examples where we've been able to flag areas of maybe risk of failure. So sometimes it's with material selection, flagging that and stating our concerns to avoid maybe having to have a recall down the road for an adhesive failing, or a combination of an adhesive and a rubber that are just not going to stay together long term based on the hardness selection. These are all things that are great on paper, but it's hard to put it out there in the field and see how it's actually going to perform. Being able to draw on a team that has a lot of experience in that field and has seen different outcomes over the years, I think that's where we're able to shine sometimes.
I think the design, the seals have to, because of the lightweightness, they really have to react differently than your typical automotive seals. So you really need to have a supplier that can help you with the design, validating your process, doing those rapid prototypes, that you may need this week just to validate if the door, is going to shut and it's going to stay sealed, are really key. So
why Elastoproxy?
why Elastoproxy? I think our clients look to us for two reasons, Rob. One is our range of products we offer the EV sector. We're innovative. We're always looking for the new materials. There's still many materials, I believe, that will be developed for the EV sector, and we're constantly trying to improve upon that. So that's one reason. The second reason, I think, is our team. And maybe Jenny Lynn, you can mention a little bit more about their team.
Absolutely. I mean, something we haven't even touched on yet is our fabrication. And, there's so much that can be done in terms of prototyping and validating. Customers are often very excited to find out we can do things like molded corners and mitered corners. And these are all, it's a very broad offering. And then to bring the team members in who have so much experience in these fields, when you bring them in on the call, Phil, our production manager, and Paulo, our operations manager, when it comes to maybe some material questions that might need some of those extra little bits of expertise. And you, Rob, it's always great to have you on a call and have you speaking with the clients directly in our technical team. There's a lot of knowledge to draw from there. And I think great ideas come from those sessions. They come about quickly and they can start going into motion right away.
I also feel transparency is one of our biggest key as well, and can't ignore that, especially with everything going on. I think being transparent with our customers right now with everything going on is a huge key to our success on that EV and other industries included. So that's great. Thank you guys. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.